singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird.
Hey guitar fans, what's going on? Welcome to the guitarfan.com YouTube channel where we're going to be learning Blackbird in this lesson. This song can kind of be deceptively easy sounding, but it's pretty detailed and has some kind of weird stuff as far as the right hand goes. We'll get into all that more later, but first, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know whenever we put out a new song lesson, and you can keep up with all the latest stuff that's going on with guitarfan.com. And if you need help getting through this or any of the other basics for playing the guitar, go to guitarfan.com, create your complimentary account, go through some of the courses there. You can even book a private one-on-one lesson with me or book a bundle of lessons. It's the fastest way to get better on the guitar and get a plan for success. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this one. I always forget to mention this. If you want to see the full performance of this song, first go to the end of the video. It's there for you with the tab on screen and everything. I also have the tab for you to download and the jam track with my lovely wife Chelsea singing on there for you, so you can make sure you're in the right spot in the song and you can be the guitar player in the tune. Anyway, let's get into it. This song feels really classical to me, and by that I mean it feels a lot like Bach, if you've ever played a Bach piece, at least in your fretting hand. The right hand, not so much, but the emotions you get, the song reminds me a lot of that kind of classical feel. Anyway, let's start out by learning the main strumming pattern that takes up probably 70 or 80% of this song. And to learn it, let's put our fingers where it occurs the most. So 10th fret of the A string with your first finger, pinky grabs the 12th fret of the B string. And here's the strumming pattern. I'll do it real slow. Pinch those two strings, A and B, and then you have a down, up with your index finger on the G and B strings. And this is weird to me. This is the first time I've ever done this song. It's the only time since I learned this song that I actually use this technique. So it's weird. You have to have a flick for the down and then like a backwards flick back into your palm for the up. So, and then the A string again. So, and then up down with your index finger. So you reverse it. So pinch, down, up, thumb, up, down. And take this as slow as you need to. Get this down before doing anything. It'll make your life a lot easier. Pinch, down, up, thumb, up, down. Pinch, down, up, thumb, up, down. And just get that coordination down where you don't even have to think about it. One thing that really helps me here is to anchor my hand, my wrist right there on the bridge or really close to it. It just helps me keep track of where I am. So it increases my chances of accuracy a lot more if I have something planted like that. So that's step one, just get this down. If you need to stop the video here, that's my number one recommendation, is to get that strumming pattern down before you do anything else. Okay, the hardest part of this song for me was actually just the layout of the tune, like the roadmap for it. And we'll go over this as we learn all the parts, but at the end of this video, I'll go through the entire roadmap just so you can get a clear understanding of what's coming next. The best advice I have for you is to just listen to the song as much as possible until you can hear it in your head and you know exactly what part's coming next. But let's start with the intro, and I'll play it for you. Okay, so start off, it's kind of like you're playing a G chord, only I'm just playing the 3rd fret of the low E string. Then I pinch the E and B strings, thumb and middle finger, and then I flick down with my index finger on the G and B string. So then I play the open A in the 1st fret of the B string with my thumb and middle. Then flick again, G and B strings. Then my 2nd finger comes to the 2nd fret of the A string. Pinky goes to the 3rd fret of the B string. Pinch those, thumb and middle, then flick G and B again. So you're always flicking the G and B in between each. I don't know if you can see it, but I've worn, it's out of focus. My index finger nail is worn down so much in prepping for this video, so just be prepared for that. If you're not used to this kind of technique, it's gonna hurt for a little while until you get used to it. So that's the first measure of the intro. And then you go up to the place where we learned our little strumming pattern first. 10 and 12 of the A and B strings with your first and fourth fingers, and just play the strumming pattern twice. That's once, and here's twice. Okay, that's what I would call the intro, and then next we get into verse 1. It starts out the exact same way. So the first two measures, just repeat those, what you just did. When you get to this part, this is one of those really Bachish parts that reminds me of classical music. 3rd fret of the A with your first finger, pinky, 5th fret of the B string. You just pinch those two notes with your thumb and middle finger, and then you hit the open G string with your index finger. From there, switch. This almost feels like an exercise, like a strength or limbering exercise. 3 fingers. Move your second finger to the 4th fret of the A string, first finger to the 3rd fret of the high E string. Pinch those. Anytime you have a pinch in this song, it's always thumb and middle finger now, so I'll just kind of skip that from here on out. And then open G string with your index finger. So you want to work, really isolate this change, because it takes a bit of coordination to get that down. And go really slow. And one thing I had to really be careful of is I had really tall fingers here, so I didn't mute any of the strings. So I didn't mute that G string or something like that. So once you do that, you're just going to move that shape up to where you start. Exact same thing, but you start on the 5th fret with your index finger and the 7th fret of the B string with your pinky, and do the exact same kind of move. So 5th and 7th fret, first finger pinky, G string open, middle finger goes up to the 6th fret, first finger goes to the 5th fret. So that whole move there, that whole measure, move up. From there, you have kind of a similar move where you go to the 7th fret of the A string and the 8th fret of the B string, and you just hold there and do your strumming pattern once. Exact same pattern, so your index finger when you're strumming is just getting the G and B string. So then move your index finger down to the 6th fret, leave your pinky on the 8th fret, do the strumming pattern again. Then shift down, index finger on the 5th fret of the A, pinky on the 7th fret of the B, pinch, index G open, then you move down to where your middle finger is on the 4th fret of the A, index finger is on the high E string, 3rd fret, pinch, G string open, then you move kind of back to your strumming pattern. You go 3rd fret of the A, 5th fret of the B, do your strumming pattern there, and then you collapse it down to where your first finger is on the 3rd fret, pinky goes down from the 5th to the 4th string, strumming pattern again. Then move that shape down 1 fret, 2nd fret of the A, 3rd fret of the B, strumming pattern. And here you have your open A, 2nd fret of the B, strumming pattern. And then you collapse down one more time, open D this time for your pinch, the 1st fret of the B, then the strumming pattern, and then just to a G chord. And again, I'm only using my 3rd finger there on the 3rd fret of the low E, then strumming pattern. Okay, so that's verse 1. Let's go through that real quick. I'll just play the whole thing for you. From there, you have a little 2-measure turnaround that kind of connects verses 1 and verses 2, and it's just this right here. 3rd fret of the A, 5th fret of the B, pinch, down strum, collapse down to the 2nd fret of the A, 3rd fret of the B, pinch, strum, open A, 2nd fret of the B, do the full strumming pattern there. Then collapse down to the open D, first fret of the B, full strumming pattern. And then go to the G again. So full strumming pattern. So let me play that for you in time. From there you go to verse 2, which is nice because it's the exact same thing as verse 1. The only difference is you don't have the turnaround after verse 2. So play through the verse again. And anytime you go to that G chord and have a full strumming pattern at the end of a phrase or end of a part, that's a big cue that the next part you're going into is going to be a new part, whether it's the turnaround like after verse 1, or whether in this case after verse 2 you move into the chorus. So let's take a look at that. Starts off with your index finger on the 8th fret of the A, pinky on the 10th fret of the B, and you just pinch those and then strum down on the G and B strings. And then collapse down to where your index finger's on the 7th fret and your pinky's on the 8th fret. Same thing, pinch, strum, go down to where your index finger's on the 5th fret, pinky's on the 6th fret. Then collapse down again, index finger 3rd fret, pinky 5th fret. And then go down one more time, that same shape, index finger 1st fret of the A, pinky 3rd fret of the B. And here you have the strumming pattern. Then move back up to 3 and 5, first finger and pinky, A and B strings, and do the strumming pattern. So far the chorus. From there, the third bar of the chorus is exactly like the first bar, so just repeat that. Then get into the next bar. It changes a little bit here, starts off the same way. 1 and 3, strumming pattern. From there you move down to 0, or open A and second fret of the B string, do a strumming pattern. And then you move to first fret of the B, open D, do the strumming pattern. And that's really the end of the chorus. I'll play the whole thing for you, but just really recognize that you might hear this sometimes. This note up here on the high E string. And I think all that is Paul's finger like bleeding over and maybe accidentally, maybe on purpose, getting that F note on the high E string. So if you hear that, it still works, and I actually like the way that sounds. So here's the whole chorus for you. And then you go back into the verse. One thing I will say here is when you practice this, there's a lot of sliding and jumping around. And this is one song where I don't worry about lifting my fingers for squeaks, because I like the way the slides sound like a. I don't worry about that too much, but one thing I really do try to do is look ahead. So if I'm here, I'm looking here before I move. I'm looking here, and then I'm looking here, and then I'm looking here. Just look ahead and it'll help you with your aim and help you be more accurate with hitting the exact frets that you want to hit, especially on that. I almost missed it that time. Anyway, that is some good advice. Verse 3 is almost identical to verses 1 and 2. There's only one little difference, and I'll show that to you right now. It starts off the exact same way. But when you get to this point, on this shape up here, you only do the strumming pattern once. And then you have this kind of abbreviated strumming pattern. It's just pinch, flick, pinch. And then everything else for verse 3 is the same. And again, when you get to the G and do the strumming, full strumming pattern. That's our cue that the next part, the part that's coming next is about to change. And this gets us into chorus 2, which is the exact same as chorus 1, so that's nice. And that's the end of chorus 2. And this gets us into the bridge, which is kind of it's kind of a modified verse, I would say. But let's just get into it. And the parts don't change, but the strumming pattern is a little bit irregular, so that might throw you off a little bit. You have really to listen to this on the recording just to get an idea of what it sounds like in your head first, and that'll make it a lot easier to execute it. You start off the same way as a verse. And again, here, once you play that first strumming pattern with the shape, things change for the second half of this measure. You hit a pinch, a flick down for 2 eighth notes, and then you have da da da, down up down with 2 16ths and an 8. So the second half of that measures. So this isn't the end of the world. You could do a regular strumming pattern here and no one would know the difference hardly, unless they're a snobby guitar player like some of us. So anyway, so that bridge. Something like that. And the next measure changes a bit, and the way I think about this is just pinch 1 2 3 4 5, pinch 1 2 3 4 5. So you have an 8th note pinch, 4 16th notes, 1 2 3 4, and then 5 is another 8th note. So that's, just remember that da 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 da. Be up here though. Okay, so up to this point in the bridge. And from here, it changes a little bit again because you have a big slowdown and kind of free time. You just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And it kind of slows down, and he has kind of a rest. And then he goes boom and hits just the A and E strings and slides down. So let me play that for you. And once it reaches measure 4, it really is kind of open to your interpretation as far as how much you want to retard this and how long you want to hold that last note out. So. One, 2, 3, boom. And here to wrap up the bridge, we have another little kind of turnaround to get us into the last verse, but it's just a G. So pinch the low E and B strings, then flick, G and B, A, open, first fret of the B, flick, second fret of the A, third fret of the B, pinch those, flick the G and B, then you go up to the third fret of the A, fifth fret of the B, pinch, flick, back to the second and third fret of the A and B strings, pinch, flick, then open A, second fret of the B, pinch, flick, and then you have a measure of 2/4 here that's just a strumming pattern with an open D, first fret of the B. And that gets you to the end of the bridge. So that whole little kind of tag for the bridge is just. And the way I think about this is just 2 groups of 3 for the 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a strumming pattern. So let me play that whole bridge for you. And that gets us into verse 4, which is the exact same thing as verses 1 and 2, which is nice. Once you hit that G again, of course, that's signaling that something else is coming next. So what you do is you have this little outro, which is just kind of a tag of what we just stated at the end of the verse. So you just have this 3, on the A string, 5 on the B string, flick, collapse down to 2 and 3, then down to open A and 2 with your strumming pattern, then open D, first fret of the B, do your strumming pattern, and then G, strumming pattern. Then just repeat that entire thing again. And once you get here, the way you end it is you just hit a G with your finger, and then a full open G chord. Just let it ring out. So let me play, I'll play that entire verse 4 for you with the 2 tags on the end for the end of the song. Here you go. Tag. Again. So that's the entire song. The only real thing after you have all the parts learned is to just memorize the layout of the tune, which again, to me is the hardest part. The best advice I have for you is to just listen to it over and over and over again. But we'll go through the layout here. It's the intro, the little 2-measure intro, then verse 1, then the turnaround, and I'm going to just read this so I don't mess it up. Then you have verse 2, then you have chorus 1, then you have verse 3, which is instrumental, then you have chorus 2, and then the little bridge that kind of goes out of time, and then you have verse 4, and you end off with the outro. And obviously I have the tab for you guys here to check out too. That'll really help you. What also helped me is I just wrote it out. Intro, verse 1, connector, a little turnaround, then verse 2. I just literally wrote that out once I had the parts learned, and it really helped me a lot. All right, thanks for going through this with me. Let us know what songs that you want to learn. I wouldn't say I'm running out of songs, but I'm running out of like the core fingerstyle songs that I wanted to go over on the channel. So let me know what fingerstyle songs you want to learn, and it's not just limited to that. Any songs you want to learn in general. Hopefully I'll get to them later. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on a new fingerstyle course coming up, so keep an eye out for that. And again, if you haven't gone to guitarfam.com and created your complimentary account, go there, get involved with the community, let us know how it's going for you, and you can even book a private one-on-one lesson with me there. See you in the next video.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to rise. You were only waiting for this moment to rise. You were only waiting for this moment to rise.